Have you ever woken up at 3 in the morning, staring blankly at the ceiling and asking yourself, "What the hell am I doing with my life?" I bet you have. Especially when you've crossed the threshold of 40. That age where you no longer have the luxury to fail. The age where pressure crushes your shoulders like a boulder. The next morning, you step out onto the street, get into your car for the commute, and the mental torture begins. You see that lazy colleague who was just promoted to regional manager. You scroll through Facebook and spot an old friend posting photos of his family, radiant with smiles, on a luxury vacation on some European island. You drive through an affluent neighborhood, looking at those two-story houses with perfectly manicured lawns and glossy cars parked in the garage. And boom! A sharp, stinging pain hits you right in the chest. You feel like a complete failure. You ask yourself, why him and not me? Why is my life such a relentless struggle? Envy eats you alive. It makes you resent your current job, detest the house you live in, and even snap at the very people who love you most, waiting for you at home. You crave what they have. You want their success, their money, their validation. But hold on, my friend. Stop for just 1 second. Look me dead in the eye. Today, I am here to tell you a brutal truth that this society deliberately hides from you. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said something short, yet it hits you like a bucket of freezing water thrown straight at your face. Everything in this world comes with a price. The greatest human error is wanting the prize while refusing to look at the receipt. Today, we are going to strip down that receipt, to see exactly how much those things you are craving out there truly cost, and whether you actually have the strength to pay for it. Let's begin with what every man in his middle years craves: a peak career and an overflowing bank account. You look at your boss, or that millionaire on the financial show, and you wish you were them. But do you know what their receipt actually says? Let me read it to you. That bill isn't paid in cash. It is written in 80-hour work weeks, sleepless nights with a pounding headache, 2 antidepressants every single morning, and a marriage that went cold long ago because he was never home to have dinner with his children. To climb to that summit, in this cutthroat society of hyperachievement, what must a man trade away? You think it's talent? No. Sometimes the price of admission is submission. You must bow your head to the very people you despise. You must smile, shake hands, and flatter an arrogant client just to keep a contract. You must stay silent in the face of injustice, compromising your own moral boundaries day after day. You must turn yourself into a bloodless entity, a perfect cog in the money-making machine. Many tell me, I'm willing to suffer to get rich. Fair enough. But look at the next trap: luxury. You think buying a luxury car or a sprawling house makes you happy? Wrong. Epictetus warned us, material possessions are an addiction. Once you get used to driving a luxury car, you cannot go back to an old one. You are trapped in an infinite loop. You must work even more frantically, endure even more pressure, just to maintain that lavish facade. You do not own the object owns you. You become a slave to the very things you bought. Now, look at yourself. You might not have a grand title, you might not have a 6-figure bank account, but what do you have? You have a complete Friday evening. You get to go home on time, turn on a football game, eat a sandwich with your son, and listen to him talk about his day at school. You sleep soundly from 10 p.m. to 6 the next morning without needing a single sleeping pill. Your soul is clean. You don't stay up at night worrying whether today's lie will be exposed. Look at this contrast. They have the polished car, but they have lost their sleep. You have the old car, but you have peace. So, who is truly paying the steeper price? Who is the more pitiful one in this race? Now, let us speak of the social arena. Many men at this stage of life harbor a profound dread of loneliness. They fear being left behind. They look at those who are always the center of attention, the men with sprawling networks, whose weekends are packed with drinking invitations and golf outings, and they feel pathetic because their own phones never ring. Epictetus offered a brilliant insight, which I will translate into modern terms for you. In this life, nothing comes free. You wish to be invited to the table of the powerful. You must pay the price with your submission. Look closely at the reality of those social circles. To stand inside that ring of the cool crowd, what must you do? You must wear a mask. You must show up at places you have absolutely no desire to visit and converse with people you couldn't care less about. When they crack a dry, humorless joke, you must force a loud laugh just to appear agreeable. When they voice an opinion that violates your conscience, you must nod in agreement because you fear exile. You fear being labeled an outcast. You waste hours scrolling through your phone, liking and leaving praising comments on their meaningless photos, all to receive a handful of superficial interactions in return. That is not friendship. That is a commercial transaction, one where you barter away your own authenticity in exchange for a fleeting sense of belonging. Let me ask you, for a man who has crossed the threshold of 40, what is his most precious asset? It is time. Our time is running short. We are aging by the day. And yet, you are willing to fling those priceless hours into useless drinking bouts and gatherings meant for backstabbing gossip, just to prove to the world that you are not alone. What if you were not invited to that party? Magnificent. Congratulations to you. You have just saved $50 in gas and gifts. You have just spared yourself 4 hours of nervous exhaustion. You get to stay home, put on your most comfortable, worn-out shorts, go to the backyard to fix the wooden fence with your own hands, or simply sit in silence and watch the sunset fade. You do not have the applause of the crowd, but you possess a sacred solitude. You have the right to be exactly who you are without having to please a single soul on this earth. At this point, I want to offer you an entirely new perspective, an inverse equation that I learned from the hardest years of my own life. This society teaches us to define ourselves by what we have: a house, a car, fame, status. If you do not have them, you are deemed a nobody. But Stoicism defines a man by what he does not need. Listen closely to this. The greatest freedom of a human being does not lie in what he can afford to buy, but in how many things out there cannot tempt him. When you see someone who possesses more than you, instead of asking, "How do I get that?" change the question to, "Is that thing worth trading away my inner peace?" I have a friend who used to be a top attorney in Chicago. He had everything: a mansion, luxury cars, respect. Yet, at the age of 45, he left it all behind to move to the countryside and open a small carpentry shop. People said he was insane. But when I visited him, sitting on his porch, smelling the scent of fresh wood, and looking at the sheer serenity on his face, I finally understood. He told me something I will never forget. Before, I had a lot of money, but I didn't have a life of my own. Now, I have less money, but every passing second belongs entirely to me. You see, life is a continuous chain of trade-offs. You cannot have everything. The man who chooses fame must surrender tranquility. The man who chooses peace must surrender extreme wealth. No choice comes free. Therefore, when you find yourself lacking what others have, do not think that life has left you behind. Understand instead that you already possess a colossal fortune, one that the wealthy out there crave but can never buy. You have the freedom to say no. You have the power to choose who you want to meet and what you want to do. You have a still mind, unshaken by the turbulent storms of competition out there. That, my friend, is the true pinnacle of the Stoic life. My friend, The road ahead of us is no longer long enough to keep wasting on meaningless races. Envy is a toxic virus. It blinds you to the blessings you already hold in your hands, forcing you to chase after the glittering illusions of others. Next time you stop at a red light and see another man's Porsche in the lane beside you, do not look at it with longing or resentment. Take a deep breath, smile, and silently wish them well. Think to yourself, they paid a very steep price for that car. May they find happiness in their choice. And then, look back at your own old car. Look at yourself in the rearview mirror. Take pride in the fact that you have preserved what matters most: your self-respect, your wisdom, and a peaceful soul. The juice may taste sweet, but if you must squeeze your entire life dry, squeezing away your dignity and your health just for a single sip, then the price is simply too high. It is simply not worth it. If you have stayed with me until this exact moment of the video, I know you are not someone searching for hollow entertainment or shallow advice. You are a man seeking a true awakening for your soul. If you have truly seen through the receipt of life, if you choose to preserve your inner peace instead of chasing illusions, leave a sign in the comments below. Write exactly 5 words: I choose my inner peace. Just those 5 words. No further explanation needed. Walk onward upon your path, calm, resilient, and free. Thank you for walking alongside the Stoic path. Keep your mind still, and we shall meet again.